Good morning. I hope I'm audible.
Good
Yes,
morning.
please. Yes.
Yeah, good morning. Welcome to the webinar on e-invoice system. I think this is the fourth or fifth in the series of online webinar. Online, we have already conducted enough outreach programs by the CBSE Bangalore and all other CBSE across the country and also state governments. And NIC is also conducting such e-invoice webinars quite often and very successful. And if I can recollect my memory, around 4 or 5 e-webinars we have conducted, more than 1,000, and on YouTube people are also joined. And still people are joining on this particular webinar. And you're already aware of it from 2020 onwards, the e-invoicing system has been in place. And most of the taxpayers, more than 2.8 lakhs taxpayers are generating e-invoices, more than 177 crores of invoices been generated. And I should really extend warm thanks and welcome to all the participants and the taxpayers and the constituents who are involved in this particular initiative of the GST and GST system. Now I welcome Mr. D.P. Nagendra Kumar, member CBAC, and sir was very actively involved in rolling out of e-invoice system for the last 1 year, pertaining to the more than 50 crore and 20 crore and above. And sir was earlier a principal commissioner of at Bangalore, and sir is very much well conversant, particular the systems and the process. And I welcome D.P. Nagendra Kumar, and also I welcome Principal Commissioner Matt of Bangalore and PV Bhatt NIC and their team. And now I request D.P. Nagendra Kumar sir, member CBAC, to give an inaugural address. Then we'll take up the further agenda. Welcome, Nagendra Kumar sir.
Thank you, Dr. B.V. Murali Krishna. My colleagues from the department, Dr. Mr. Bhatt, DDG and State Informatics Officer, NIC Bangalore, Ms. Sunita Benor and a team of technical team of NIC. At the outset, I must thank the e-governance wing of Government of Karnataka under the leadership of Mr. B.V. Murali Krishna, and also the NIC DDG team for putting together efforts along with CBIC Bangalore in organizing this program for the benefit of the taxpayers. As you're all aware, we are into the 5th year of GST. We are shortly completing 5 years of the journey of GST, and this journey has been one of a very, very satisfying in terms of integrating multitude of taxes into a single tax and truly creating a common market for India by integrating all the indirect taxes and providing a seamless movement of goods and services across the borders. The initiative undertaken under this important tax reform has not only been affecting the tax compliance, but also the business process as well. Even day for yesterday, in the function held in the Vigyan Bhavan, our Honorable Prime Minister had made a mention that GST is a transformational business reform undertaken, which has completely altered the economic contours in this country. E-invoice, as you're all aware, had its humble beginning in October 2020, wherein the taxpayers with an annual aggregate turnover of over 500 crores were mandated to issue the invoice in a particular schema. Since then, we have traveled a long way, and effective from 1st April 2022, we had rolled out this invoice utility for the taxpayers having turnover between 20 to 50 crores. Close to about 1,83,000 taxpayers were expected to join the invoice generating exercise in this bracket of taxpayers. As on date, close to almost around 60% of these eligible and enabled taxpayers are already generating the invoice through the NIC portal, to the invoice reference portal. There are a few sectors which are excluded from the purview of the invoice. I'm sure in the technical session you'll be taken through these discussions in elaboration. But what we are concerned really is that among the eligible taxpayers who have been enabled by the GSTN through the NIC, there are a large number of taxpayers who are otherwise liable to issue the invoice are not still following the mandate. It's almost 3 months since it is rolled out, and it is mandatory that those who are enabled and who are mandated to generate the invoice will have to do invoice through the invoice portal. Any continued non-compliance will have to be met with adverse consequences. We don't want to do that. In the first 3 months, we have been handholding the taxpayers and also reaching out to the eligible taxpayers and also effectively engaging with the taxpayers in bringing them on board. But it is also required that the law will have to be complied with. So therefore, an awareness program of this, I felt it was very essential that we need to reinforce for those taxpayers who have not migrated into the e-invoice portal to do so at the earliest. And also those taxpayers who have been generating invoice, if they have any issues and concerns which they would like to clarify from both our teams of tax administration as well as from the technical team of NIC. A workshop of this nature would give them a good ground for them to clarify their doubts and also seek guidance in the matter. Towards that end, I think today's program, I am very confident and hopeful that the taxpayers across the country who have logged into the program will immensely benefit. NIC, over a period of time, has been a great partner in the journey of GST reform. They have been operating very successfully the e-way bill portal. As on date, close to 300 crores of the e-way bills have been raised in the country, which has managed the transport of movement of goods across the country in a completely seamless manner. The e-invoice portal operated by again the NIC team has seen more than 160 crores of invoices being generated in the last 1.5 years of its journey. It's a mammoth task. The technical team has been absolutely on their toes in terms of ensuring that these transitions into the technology absorption goes without much of glitches. A lot of credit should go to the team, which is operated from the Bangalore, actively and effectively supported and validated by the e-governance team from the commercial tax department, which has been providing them a lot of the functional inputs insofar as operationalizing these two important reforms. Without taking much of time, and I'm sure I think the technical team headed by Mr. P.V. Bhatt, Mr. Sunita Benno, and Mr. Suresh Meti, I think they'll be making the presentation on the technical aspect of it, followed by a team of subject matter experts, including the CBIC team from Bangalore, as well as the commercial tax department of the government of Karnataka, and the officers who have been at the forefront in popularizing the e-invoice in the country would also be available to you to clarify. I'll also be continued to be in the workshop insofar as the Q&A session is concerned. With these remarks, I wish today's program all success and once again compliment to all those who have been instrumental in organizing this outreach program for the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inaugural address to the members. And there are some good suggestions. I think when it comes from the question answers, I will flag to you later, sir. And we'll thank you once again. Now I request Mr. P.V. Bhatt. P.V. Bhatt, I think everybody is aware of it in the technological field. He is the one who is instrumental in rolling out all our e-initiatives in Karnataka, right from VAT 100 to the last ETDS issues. And we successfully rolled out the e-Sugam. Now it is e-way bill from 1/4/2018. And earlier, what EU pass, what we rolled out in Karnataka, now it is nothing but e-invoice from 2020. And he is the architect and the person behind the whole architecture. Because of his domain knowledge and the technological advantage, sir able to steer us in a very steadfast manner. And we could able to get the stabilization of all these particular e-activities. And we wholeheartedly welcome Mr. P.V. Bhatt, sir, to give his remarks on e-invoice system. Later on, we'll take up to the technical session by the Sunita Benno and other team members. Over to Mr. Bhatt, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Murali Krishna. Dear Nagendra Kumar, sir, and other senior officers of the CBAC and State Commercial Tax Department. I will briefly start with a presentation by giving the background of the e-invoicing system. What are the conditions and rules are saying about the e-invoicing, how to take it further on that. And meantime, whatever the people are having a question, please raise your question in the chat box so that we can take up those in the later after completion of the presentation, whatever is there, so that we can clarify all your doubt. We may not be able to hear one by one. So you raise your question. Some of the people have already raised the question. You can also raise your question. We'll take after 1 hour the presentation. Then we'll go into the all your questions and go on answering one by one because experts are there. from CBEC and Commercial Tax Department and NIC will try to take and do that activity of clarifying all your doubts. Already more than 1,000 people have joined this webinar as of now, and some people may be attending through the YouTube also. We have provided a YouTube link also. So if some of your friends are not able to connect, tell them to connect through the YouTube so that they can also get benefited of this whole thing. Thank you. Now I'll start with our journey about the GST activity, what NIC had done. Next slide, please. You may be aware that NIC, the Government of India organization, and we are supporting the taxation department in the various level. In fact, we are providing all the e-governance initiative for all the government department. In that taxation also, we have done the customs computerization, and we have done the professional tax and VAT computerization throughout the country in most of the states. And in fact, when GST started in April 2018, we started the E-way bill project under the GST, and now we are running the e-invoicing system. Next slide, please. Now I'll just briefly cover about the E-way bill system. Next slide. So you can see the E-way bill system, as the Nagendra Kumar sir has told, we are running the E-way bill system for last 4 years, and constantly every year we can see the first year 55 crore E-way bills have been generated, then 62 crore, 61 crore, 77 crore last year. So in the last 4 years journey, we have generated around more than 260 crore, more than 274 crores of E-way bills through the portal, and the portal is running very successfully 24/7, and it has helped immensely for all the taxpayers and transporter and other agencies who are taking care about that activity. In fact, the movement of the goods have been faster, speeded up after the introduction of the E-way bill system, and it has also increased the tax compliance and boost the revenue for the collection also. And it has helped in the ease of doing business. And as of now, for the last 4 years, 40 lakh suppliers are involved in the E-way bill system, and there are 64, almost 1 lakh transporters are there, and they are all using this system last 4 years, and system is running very successfully without any problem. Next slide. I'll just cover about the e-invoicing system now. Next slide. So you know that now e-invoice, we have reached 175 crores of e-invoice generation from the portal in last 18 months. That is the great achievement. We can say the taxpayers are logging in and doing the things, and they are generating more than once every month. We are able to generate now 11 to 12 crores of invoices from the portal, and you can see around 3 lakh suppliers are generating e-invoices, and it is related to the 85 lakhs of recipients. So that indicates that 85 lakh recipients straight away are getting the ITC without any problem, because supplier is registering on the portal that is available for the recipient. So recipient is immediately know that ITC is available. So that way ITC is ensured through the e-invoicing system, so that it is helping the whole ecosystem in taking care about the activity. And in fact, we have implemented in a gradual manner. As already told, October 2020, we started for 500 crore above taxpayers. Then we have reduced to 100 crore, 50 crore. Now, April 1st, 2022 onwards, we have made 20 crore above all the taxpayer to generate the e-invoices. Next slide. So this is the kind of the benefit to the whole the taxpayer and the complete ecosystem is going to get benefited of the whole invoicing system. First one is the supplier. It will simplify the compliance, and it will help him to generate the auto generation of the e-way bill and GSTRs. As e-invoice is introduced throughout the country for all the taxpayers, your GSTR1, GSTR2, GSTR3, everything will be automatically generated. No need of you updating the GSTR1 or the other documents. And e-way bill also. Already e-invoice you uploaded, just you have to enter the vehicle number, e-way bill will be ready. So this will completely simplify for the suppliers. He need not have to keep on uploading the various documents for the various purposes on the portal. Just you generate the e-invoice, rest of the things will be taken care by the system in a coming year. That is our main goal. Then recipient. When the supplier is uploaded the invoice, automatically reflects in the GSTR 2B or 2A, whatever is there, then auto-populates so that he is assured about his ITC. Immediately it will be reflected. So based on that, you are continuing with your transaction. Transporter. Whenever transporter wants to move the goods from one place to other place, he can get this e-invoice detail automatically when the supplier gives him the key, so that he can download and start moving the goods. He need not have to enter the complete detail. Then financer can use it for a trade finance or the whatever your discounting are there. They can refer the details on the e-invoice portal and help the business by funding or loan, providing a loan or whatever kind of a thing. Then GST officers, it will improve the tax complaints, reduce the burden. It will also going to overcome the all other activity what the department does. And government will be pushing the ease of doing business for all the taxpayers, so that need not have to have too many things doing the things. Maybe in a coming year, the same data will be available for other people also. Need not have to give it to the other department the data also. Sunita, next slide. Okay. Now, what is the generation of e-invoice means what? Am I going to prepare the complete invoice on the portal? No. What you are going to do is you are going to continue your preparation of invoice on your system as usual, currently what you are doing. Once you prepare the invoice, it may be a manual copy or within your ERP system. Once you complete that preparation of the invoice, subsequently pass all that data into the e-invoice portal, just register there. It is a registering of the invoice, not actually the generation of the invoice. So whatever you have prepared in the manual invoice, the same, or in the ERP system, the same data will be passed on to central portal. Central portal will do some validation and it will acknowledge that yes, you have registered this number, and it will give back you the acknowledgement number. That is the e-invoice registration. So it is not actually going to the portal and generating the complete on the system. So it is only preparing the invoice on your system, then generating on the portal. And NIC, the first IRP now available, and only IRP on which one can generate the e-invoices. It will provide other details. I will not go into the details. Next slide. Okay. Now, finding the eligibility and discrepancies. Now, how to know whether I have been enabled for the e-invoicing or not? Because most of the time people are getting confused to know whether I am eligible to generate e-invoice or not. So if you want to know whether you are eligible for the invoice or no, you have to go. We have given here, visit https e-invoice1.gst.gov.in portal. Go to this portal. There is an option available called as a search. In the search, there is an option available e-invoice status of taxpayer. If you click here, system will ask you to enter your GSTN ID. Once you enter the GSTN ID, system says whether you are eligible to generate e-invoice or not. This is done based on the return R3P, whatever you have filed in last 4 years. It will consolidate that a pan India level for the particular pan, and it say if it is your turnover is crossing 20 crores, so it will say that you are eligible for the e-invoice. So one can go and check up here whether they are eligible to generate e-invoice or not. Now the question comes, there may be some variation in the data what system is showing. If actually eligible, but system is saying I am ineligible. I know my turnover in last 4 years, any of the 4 years is more than 20 crore, but system is saying I am ineligible. There is an option available on the portal, because you know that you are eligible, you have already crossed 20 crore. Go to the portal, there is an option available, registration. Registration, you go there and select the e-invoice enablement. When you click the e-invoice enablement, system will ask you your GSTN ID, then it will show all the PAN related GSTNs throughout the India, ask you the turnover, it will authenticate you through the OTP, then it will enable you for the e-invoicing. There is the option, that's what I mean to say, there is the option available where you can go and register yourself. If you are not, system is saying you are not eligible also, you can go and register and start generating e-invoice. Even if you generate it today, you can generate the e-invoices for the last period also. 1 year back invoices also can be entered, and IRN or the e-invoices can be generated. If actually ineligible but showing eligible, but actually what we are trying to say here is I am not crossed 20 crore as per my record, but system is saying you have crossed 20 crore, you have to generate the e-invoice. There is a discrepancy in the data what system is showing. You have to go to the common portal, help desk, you register your complaint that I have not crossed 20 crores, I may be disabled from the e-invoicing system. So they will take a record that and accordingly act upon that. So if you have been enabled wrongly, then you can register there and get it revoked for the enablement. Next slide. Registration and access. Now, once you register, what are the activity I can do, how I can do? If you have already registered on the e-way bill system for a login and you are logging the e-way bill system and doing all your activity, the same username and password can be used for e-invoice also. If you are doing the generation of a e-way bill, the same login credential can be used and you can generate the e-invoice also. No need of again generating one more username and password. That is the idea here. Then the same username and password also can be used for a Japawn application. We have one user-friendly Japawn mobile application and web-based application using which also you can generate the e-invoice. If not registered already, you can go to the GST and e-invoice portal and enter your GST ID. OTP will come to your mobile. Once you enter the OTP, then you can enter your username and password and register yourself. Separate login credentials are required for API. If you are using the API, there is a separate mechanism available through which you can register and generate the username and password for API activity. That is a separate process. This may be educated you by the GSPs also. You can use that and do the API is nothing but the integration of your system with the e-way bill system. So that is ERP system of your system will directly send the data without again going into the separate portal and entering the details. So API mechanism is available, that also can be used. Next point. So now, whether I have to generate e-invoice, e-way bill separately or together, all this confusion will be there with some other people. There are a different mechanism available through which you can. If I want to generate only e-invoice, that is IRN, yes, it is possible. You have to enter only invoice detail. System will you provide the e-invoice. In the e-invoice portal, if you enter only the invoice detail, whatever your transaction details are there, enter only the invoice detail, you will get the e-invoice number. But you want to generate the e-invoice and e-way bill together. Let us say vehicle is also ready. I know the vehicle number. So what you can do is you can enter the invoice detail. You can enter the transported detail together. You will also generate the e-invoice and also generate e-way bill together. No need of again two activity doing a separate time. Together you can do. But sometimes what happens, you want to generate e-invoice now, but goods may be moving tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Yes, you can generate e-invoice now. After a day, you can enter the e-invoice number and transport it detail and generate the e-way bill. So you can generate e-way bill later also, not necessarily together. So all the three mechanisms are there, using which any of the mechanism you can use and generate the e-invoice. Next slide. So some of the validation you have provided on the e-invoice portal, using which you have to, a system will do two things. One is the GST rules, whatever are there, preliminary rules are there, all those validation system will do. Plus, it will also carry out the accounting practices, some validation. So those two validation has to be validated when the data comes to the e-invoice portal. Once they are successfully validated, then system will allow you to generate the e-invoice and give back the acknowledgement number. Next slide. Okay. Now this is about the basic about the portal. I am just showing. This is the e-invoice1.gst.gov.in is a portal. Once you go into the portal, this is the screen you can see. This screen has all the details. Law details are there. Help is there. Help is very user-friendly. Helps are there. User manuals are there. Videos are there. FAQs are there. Tools are there. You can use whatever is required going to the help and tools you can use, like bulk generation tool, Japawn tool, all kind of things are there. Search option, if you go, you can search the taxpayer detail, verify signed invoices, and invoice status of taxpayer, whether he is eligible or not, those things you can see. And right side, if you see, there is the registration and login in there. In the registration, you can go and register. If you are not been already started generating invoice, you can register there and start generating the invoice. Next slide. So this is one we have provided, as you know, when e-invoice you generate, there is a QR code printed on the e-invoice. So if I want to verify the QR code, whether it has been generated from the e-invoice portal or not, we have provided one app. You can download the app from the portal. If your supplier gives you the e-invoice, you can verify whether it has been uploaded on the e-invoice portal or not. So once you download the app, read the QR code, system will show you the e-invoice. So right side, you can see the complete e-invoice. So the complete e-invoice, what is there, it will be shown. QR code also is there, e-sign is also there, everything it will be shown. So this QR code, app can be used by the buyer if you have any doubt about the e-invoice applied by the supplier, or any other officer also, or anybody can also use this to authenticate this whatever the copy of the e-invoice you are having is generated from the portal or not. Next slide. Well, now we are having a different mechanism through which e-invoices can be generated. One is if big companies where they are generating large number of invoices, they can interface with a GSP. GSP, you know that GST Suvidha providers. So you can interface with them. They will provide you a mechanism through which you can hit the e-invoice portal through the API and generate the e-invoices. This is the API mechanism. What I'm saying is the API means system to system integration. Second is some of the ERPs also we have enabled. So ERP means, like for example, maybe other lot of software companies who are giving the accounting software. They are also have been enabled. They will also provide a mechanism, API mechanism to integrate with the e-invoice portal. And the third category is some big taxpayers, like for example, automobile industry, big taxpayers. What they do is they also provide the mechanism or accounting software to their suppliers. So those suppliers are using their accounting software. So through their API also, you can hit the e-invoice portal and generate. So basically here you have to ask your supplier, I mean your clients who are taking the material from you, whether they have a e-invoicing system. If they have a e-invoicing system, whether they are allow you to enable there. So you can be enabled there and you can start generating from their portal also. That mechanism you can discuss with your automobile industry or some other people who are supplying that. Next slide. Now, if you are the small taxpayer, and let us say you are having the ERP or not having a ERP also, we have provided some simple tools using which you can go to the e-invoice and generate the e-invoice without any software requirement. This is the Japawn tool. It is a browser-based system. You can, we have given the URL. My colleague will explain now after this my session. So we'll explain in detail about how Japawn's application can be used to generate the e-invoices. Second one is mobile app also is there. Using mobile app, it is there on iOS and Android also. Using that also in sitting in your office or in your shop or your in working place, you can generate the e-invoice. Then bulk entry Excel based tool. Bulk, for example, I am having ERP system 100 invoice I want to upload and generate together. That is also possible. For the E-way bill, the people were doing the same thing is available for e-invoice also. Next slide. Okay, my colleague will explain about the Japawn tool. Using this is a simple browser-based tool available using which how you can generate the e-invoice.
Thank you, Bhatt sir. Thank you for your technical inaugural session. And I think many of the taxpayers could able to get the clarity on that. And most of the taxpayers who have joined now and the consultants who have joined now, they would like to know about the technological aspects of actually the invoice to be generated. And most of them, they are aware of they're generating through API or any other modes, which technically people who are advantageous, they can do. And those are the small taxpayers who doesn't have the capability and they can use the NIC portal and wherein they have done the Japawn and Japawn tools and where it is very simple and certainly they can make use of that particular and they can generate if those who have one or two or few invoices, they need not look upon an ERP or API. Certainly they can do on this. And now I request Sunita Benu, Senior Technical Director, who she was involved in E-way bill and also e-invoice and earlier e-initiatives of the government of Karnataka to take over and to give a technical session on technology map. Over to Sunita Benu.
Thank you, sir. So in this session, we will be discussing about the various tools that are available in the e-invoicing system. As already informed and discussed about these tools, it is basically for those taxpayers who are having less number of invoices. So we also explained you that there are different mechanisms of interfacing with the e-invoice system. That is like through API, through the GSPs or the ERPs. But there may be some taxpayers who do not have many invoices. So in that case, they can readily use this tools, that is the JEP tools. So we'll get into this. So Japawn is a GST e-invoice preparing and printing tool. So this is a browser-based online user-friendly system. So why do we say it is a browser-based? Because whatever information you, this is when you open this particular system in your browser, the data that you enter into the system will be stored in the browser. So that is why we call it as a browser-based online user-friendly system. The data in this is stored in the browser cache. The e-way bill and e-invoice web credentials can be used for this. As you know, the e-invoice system has credentials, the same which are the same as the e-way bill system. So for the Japawn also, these credentials are shared and you can use the same thing in the Japawn. This can also be downloaded on the mobile. So as I said, Japawn can be used on the browser as well as on the mobile. There is an option to download this onto your mobile, be it Android or iOS, and you can just generate the invoices using your fingertips. Next, we have, it is also an offline mode. We mean to say that this particular system can be used in the offline mode also. That is, let's say you are at some places where there is not enough internet connectivity. So in that case, you can still open this tool and enter all the details and save it. So when you want to submit to the e-invoice portal, only then the connectivity is required. So the data can be entered and it at your leisure and saved and be ready when the internet connectivity is there and you can generate the e-invoice. The system has all the validations built, like as we explained in the previous session, that there are validations being incorporated in the invoice portal to check the correctness of the data. So the same kind of validations are also incorporated in the Japawn system. So this contains all the functionalities like generation of e-invoice, cancelling of invoice, and generation of e-way bill. So all these functionalities are provided in the Japawn system. So this is how the Japawn portal looks like. You can see here the URL is https://jep.einvoice1.gst.gov.in. So this is the URL. So when you open the system, it will ask you for the username and password. So we already mentioned that it shares the same credentials as the e-way bill and the e-invoice system. So if you have not registered in the e-invoice system or the e-way bill system, you can go to the e-invoice portal, register, and then come back to this JEP portal. So this JEP portal has the options here. There is a help available so that you can see the videos on it. You can understand how this functionality is before you can even log into the system. So as you log into the system, it welcomes you with the dashboard. It will tell you how many invoices you have generated and how many invoices are pending for IRN generation. And also the system provides a master of all the recipients or the products. So this masters will help you in storing all the information about your recipients, like his GSTN, then address, etc. Then products is another master wherein you can enter your frequently transacted HSNs so that you don't have to enter this HSN code each and every time when you generate the invoice. You can just select this particular HSN code when you are generating the invoice and it will be all the other details will be readily available. So in the right side, you can see here, there are options for downloading mobile apps, Android and iOS. And you can see that these are all the recipients already entered in the master. And these are the products which are already entered in the master. On the right side top, you can see go online. So suppose if you are working on the web and still you are not online. So once you have the connectivity, you can click on this go online and then you will be able to generate the invoices from the e-invoice portal. On the left side, you can see the menu, that is the list of all the pending invoices, generated invoices. This option is to create the invoice and create e-way bill by IRN, cancel IRN, and these are all the master creations. And also we have a backup and restore data. So as I said, this information, whatever you are entering in the JEP, as I said that the data is stored in the browser cache. So there may be a concern that suppose if you clear your browser cache, you may lose the data. Yes, you may lose the data. So for that purpose, we have given a backup. This backup is just a simple process. Just click on backup, a file will be saved. And whenever you want to move on to another system or you want to restore that data, you can click on restore. So this way, all the invoices that you have generated on the Japawn system will be available in your system. Whereas when you go to the e-invoice portal, you will be getting only the 2 days data. So by using Japawn, you will be having a repository of all the invoices that you have generated. Then we also have the profile and the settings. So we'll move on. So this is how you can configure your profile. So just on entering the GSTN, I mean, since you have already logged in now, the details of your GSTN, legal name, etc., all are already auto-populated. So here you can see, you can also enter the company logo. So if you have any logo, you can just upload into this profile so that when the e-invoice is printed, the invoice contains all the details along with the logo. Now we come to the generation of recipient masters. So just you go to the recipient master and click on the enter the GSTN and all the details are entered. And you can save it in the masters. Now we come to the creation of invoice. So when you click on the create invoice button, you can see there are 6 tabs being shown. The first is the document details. The second is recipient, item details, total values, e-way bill, preview. So these are all the tabs under which the data has to be entered. You come to the document details, you select your supply type, whether it is B2B, SEZ, export or deemed export. Then if it IGST on intrastate applies, then you select it as yes or no. There's a reverse charge column. You can select yes or no accordingly. Then this is a document type. So there are 3 documents available. We have already explained that. That is tax invoice, debit note and the credit note. Accordingly, you have to enter the document number and also the document date. The next tab is the recipient details. I told that this comes from the master. By just clicking on this some few characters, you'll get a list of all the recipient GSTNs that you have stored here. You select one of the recipient and move on to enter the transaction type. So this transaction type is, there are 4 types, that is regular, bill from, ship from, and bill to, ship to, and a combination. So this is useful when you are generating the e-way bill, and it will indicate whether you need to give a different dispatch details or different ship to details. This is the place of supply. This is a list of all the states, and the transaction type, that is whether it is intrastate or interstate, it depends on this particular option that you choose. So if it is of the same state, it becomes intrastate. Any other state, it becomes interstate. Now we come to the adding the products. You can see here already the products were entered. We just enter some few characters. You get a list of all the details, and you can select one of the product and auto populate all here. So here you can see in the HSN code and what is the unit you have to now specify, whether it is in numbers or quintal or etc. And what is the unit price of it? What is the quantity? And this will get calculated. That is the gross amount discount you have to enter. Then it shows the taxable value. You select the tax rate. The tax rate is the tax is calculated and auto-populated here. There's also an option to enter the other charges. So with this, we come to the next tab. That is the total of all the items are shown here. Also the total of all the tax values. And you can see the total invoice value. If there is any round off, you can enter that rounding off figure, and accordingly the grand total will be calculated. Now we come to the e-way bill details. As we explained in the previous session, that e-way bill is not mandatory here. If you want, you can generate, or you can generate it at a later time. So if you want to generate along with the invoice, you can specify the transporter ID and the transport mode, whether it is road, air, ship, or rail. Then we come to the transporter document number. You enter the vehicle number here. and the distance. So if distance is not known, you can enter 0 and it will calculate the distance automatically. Then transporter document date and the vehicle type. So vehicle type is regular or ODC. So accordingly, if it is regular, it considers 200 kilometers per day. The validity is calculated, and if it is ODC, 20 kilometers per day. Accordingly, the validity is calculated. The last is the preview. You can see here the details what you have entered. You can verify all these details and click on this generate button. So once you click on generate button, the e-invoice is generated successfully. It also shows the acknowledgement number, E-way bill number. Now you can proceed to print this e-invoice. So you can see the logo is there, the QR code is there, and all the details of the e-invoice are shown, and also the E-way bill number is shown. So you can take this print and continue with the next activity. So similarly, we have options for cancelling the IRN. So here you can search the IRNs that you have saved here by entering the document details or the IRN number, or you can also see which are all the recently generated and select one of them and click on cancel. So as we explained in the previous session, that cancellation is there for 24 hours from the date and time of generation of the e-invoice. And if there is already E-way bill generated, then you should ensure that the E-way bill is first cancelled, and then you can cancel the IRN. Now we come to the backup and restore data. So this is what I was explaining. That is, suppose that is, since you are using, if you are using this Japawn, the data is all stored in the browser, and since there is a chance of you clearing the cache, you may use this backup option. So it is just one click of this backup data, it will create one file. So this way, every day you can keep backing up this data, and you can restore whenever it is required. So as I explained, the Japawn is also available on the mobile. You can download it on your mobile, and you can see here. Once it is downloaded, you can enter the username, password, and log in into the system. The same view or the options that I showed you in the web browser are available in this mobile. Now this is how you create the recipient masters and the product masters in the mobile, and how this is how it looks in the mobile for creation of invoice. You will enter all the details and generate. So similarly here, you can have there is an option for generating E-way bill by IRN and also cancel the IRN. So now we come to the bulk generation of e-invoices. So we also explained you that there are the other tools that are bulk generation tools. These tools are offline tools, and you can download it onto your system. Firstly, you should go to the e-invoice portal. There's an option for downloading all these bulk tools. And once you have downloaded, you can enter the data into these bulk tools and generate the JSON file or the data file and upload it into the portal. So you can come here, you can see here these are the main features, that it is an Excel tool wherein you can enter all the invoices. So here the invoices can be entered in bulk. Suppose if you have a system or a ERP system where already invoices are being entered and you have not yet interfaced to the e-invoice portal, then you can download this invoices from the ERP system and just cut and paste into this bulk tools. So this way you can generate the invoices in bulk in the portal. This has some built-in validations. The tools have some validations built, like the calculations or the calculations of the amounts, etc. Some validations are still done on the portal. Then a data file can be generated and uploaded. That is, this tool, once you have entered all the data, there's an option to generate the data file and upload this into the portal. Also, there are some payment details which can be updated against invoices, and so that you can track whether the payments have been done or no for these invoices. So this will also act as a repository of all the invoices that you have generated. So once you have uploaded the JSON file and generated the e-invoice, then you can the system will give you a download option for downloading all the IRNs. So this Excel file can again be uploaded into this tool, and so that this tool will contain both all the invoices as well as the corresponding IRNs along with it. So this is how a simple bulk invoice tool looks like. So this is the first sheet. It will explain you what are the features of this and what are the different formats. So basically this bulk tools we have provided in 4 types: A, B, C and D. So the A format is for those taxpayers wherein they have only one line item. So it is very simple and only some restricted columns or are available in this. Since as per the business, if in case all the fields of the schema are not required, then you can go for this format A, wherein only one invoice item can be entered. So you enter all the details like the invoice number, date, etc., and along with the item code and what is the quantity, all those details. And also you can enter the E-way bill details and generate this file. So this is the format A. Format B is another format of the tool where sometimes the taxpayer has more than one items in the invoice. So in that case, it is better he uses the format B, wherein a separate sheet is provided for entering the items. So the first sheet will contain the invoice details and the second sheet will contain all the item details. So you have to link this first sheet and the second sheet through the document number. So if document 1, 2, 3 is present in the first sheet, the second sheet will also have document number 1, 2, 3 and the corresponding items. So this way you can enter all your items into the format B and generate the JSON file and create the JSON file. Format C is a little bit more detailed with all the item details, payment details, reference details, etc. So you can use accordingly as per the business requirements. Then format D is again a more comprehensive or a detailed worksheet where you have to enter where you can enter all the details in one line. So now this is a profiling of the in the bulk generation tool. You can enter here the your GSTIN because this is one-time entry. Your GSTIN, legal name, trade name, etc. And you can see enter the address, all these details and the state. Then here you have other profile features like whether you have reverse charges. Sometimes the business requirements are not there, like having reverse charges, or whether it is a supply of services may not be there, or you may not have a barcode. So accordingly, you can disable all these columns. You can select yes, no, yes, no. So then in that case, your Excel sheet will contain only those columns which are required for your invoice. So this is how the Excel sheet looks like. You have the supply type. These are all the drop downs. You can select here B2B and whether it is reverse charge is available, IGST is required. So all these details can be entered in this sheet. And there is an option here to enter, there is option to validate it. There is validate and prepare JSON. So when you click on validate, it will check all the details like the calculations part, whether it is correct, and some of the other things which can be done on this Excel sheet, it will do. Then prepare JSON is an option to generate the data file. So this is how the items can be entered. You can see here, as I was saying, part that is a format B, wherein the separate sheet for items is given. That is the document details are there and the corresponding items are shown here. Now we come to the other columns of the sheet, that is if there is export details you can enter and also the E-way bill details. So you can see here the transporter ID, transporter name, transport mode, distance, document number, etc. all are shown into can be entered into this. So as I said in the previous sheet, that is when you click on validate, the Excel tool will validate all this data, and if there is any error, so it will show in the last column. So there is, you can see in the error list, there is it says that it is not correct. So okay, the round of value is not matching. Like this, it will tell you. So accordingly, you go to that particular row and correct it and again revalidate it. So once it is validated successfully, it will show you here data validated successfully, and then you can go to this prepare JSON and you can see the JSON is created. It will indicate you where this particular file is generated. Now we come to, okay, all the validations that are done in the e-invoicing system are all shown here. You can understand the kind of validations and accordingly you can, you will be having a knowledge of all these validations pre-hand. Now, once the data file is generated, you have to log into the e-invoice portal, that is e-invoice1.gst.gov.in, and there is a bulk upload option. So you can go to that option and select the file. So this file needs to be less than 2 MB. So around 400 items, 400 invoices can be easily generated using this tool. So here you can see, you can click on upload. Then all the invoices are, all the correct invoices are generated. So you can see here, total number of invoices in the file were 7, total number of items were 8, and invoices uploaded successfully are 7, and failed to upload is 0. 0. So you can see here, if there are any invoices which are not generated due to some validation problem, then it will indicate that particular as a separate file which you can download. So the successfully generated invoices can be downloaded. That is, you can download the JSON file and download Excel, or you can even take a print. So sometimes what happens, if you have generated some 100 invoices, so you have to, instead of generating each invoice, printing each invoice one by one, you can even download the print for all these 100 invoices. So it is now easy just to take a print of all the 100 invoices in one go. So this is how the upload feature looks like. So this is what I was explaining about the features and about the e-invoice portal and all the tools that are available. So the next thing is the
FAQ can go through. I will
Yes,
cover that.
next. Okay. Now the next set is the FAQs. I will just share that.
Madam, thank you for your technical session on how to generate e-invoice on the using Japawn and Japawn and bulk tools. And now, ma'am will get into the question and answer session. I think please, I am looking at the chat session and many questions are asked other than e-invoice also. And if it is possible, try to answer those questions later. So I request all the participants to listen to the FAQs and e-invoicing, so that many of the questions, there will be many of the clarity will be there right now itself. And over to Sunita ma'am for FAQ on e-invoicing.
Yeah, I will cover that FAQ. So the
Okay.
we can start. So basically, these are FAQs we have prepared based on the feedback we have received from the various taxpayers and kind of question they have raised in last sessions. So that this may help you. And most of these questions, whatever question you have raised in the chat will be cleared in this FAQs. One is, what is e-invoicing? People are under the confusion that e-invoice means I have to enter my basic item detail. So system will generate the invoice on the government portal. No, it is not the case. Only you are preparing as usual in the previous mechanism, the invoices, and you are uploading that complete detail into the portal for the registration. It is only the registration of the e-invoice which you have prepared. So you may be doing manually the invoice. You continue preparing the manual invoice as you are doing. When the invoice is prepared in the manual form, then the same detail has to be go to the portal, enter that detail, and system will validate that and give the acknowledgement. Yes, your invoice has been registered on the portal, and it will give the acknowledgement. Take that acknowledgement and write down your invoice. And also you can take a printout of the invoice which is been available on the portal with a QR code. Or if you are having already ERP softwares, any of the software you are using, that ERP software will, once you prepare your invoice on the ERP software, that details should be taken and sent it to the e-invoice portal by the directly through the API or through the again direct entry, and generate the register on the invoice portal and get the number from there. It is not the preparation of the invoice on the portal. It is only registration of the invoice. This may be noted. This should be very clear. Okay. So you are continuing to do business activity as you are doing. That there will not be any change in that. Government is not coming in our way of what the way you are interpreting and doing the thing. Only the detail has to be registered there. That's all we are saying. Next slide. Who are supposed to generate the invoice? Those who have crossed the turnover limit of 20 crores have to generate the e-invoice. Please note, those who have crossed the turnover of 20 crore. 20 crore means what? It is not a particular GSTN of one state. Let us say you are there in Mumbai and your GSTN ID some X is there and you are having a 6 crore of turnover. So you may think that you are not eligible to generate the e-invoice. That is the wrong conception. If the same PAN which has been generated in Mumbai, the same PAN may have one more GSTN ID in Bangalore and one more in Delhi. So Bangalore turnover may be 8 crore, Delhi turnover may be 6 crore, and Bombay turnover may be 7 crore. All these three turnover together will become a 21 crore. When all these together for a particular PAN, the turnover becomes 21 crore, then all these three units has to generate the e-invoice. So please note, the turnover is not for an individual taxpayer unit. It is for the PAN. All India PAN basis, the turnover is defined. The turnover includes your B2B, your taxable turnover, exempted turnover, all those things are included. Export turnover, all the three are included, which are given in R3B. Based on that, for a financial year, any of the financial year in the last 4 years, maybe 17-18, 18-19, 19-20, 20-21. In any of the year, if your turnover has crossed 20 crore, you have to generate the e-invoice. This may be noted. The people are having a confusion about the turnover. That's why I'm clarifying very clearly on the turnover. Secondly, what are the things you have to generate e-invoice? We are not asking you to generate B2C transaction. We are asking you to generate B2B transaction, B2 government transaction, and export invoices. Only these categories of invoices need to be registered on the e-invoice portal. I'm making once again the clarity, giving the clarity. You have to generate the e-invoice for B2B, B2G, and export. B2 export transaction and credit note, debit note, invoice related to that has to be registered on the e-invoice portal. And the PAN basis turnover is more than 20 crore. Let us say in last 2 months your turnover is more than 20 crore, still you need not have to generate the e-invoice. That is 21, 22, 23. If you are already crossed at 20 crore, you need not have to generate the e-invoice. It is only for the last 4 years. If you have crossed 20 crore, you invariably have to generate the e-invoice. Next slide. How do I know whether I'm supposed to register the invoice? As I already explained, there is an option available in the portal, e-invoice 1. You can go there and search option is there, e-invoice status. If you click there, system enter your GSTN ID, system say whether you are eligible to generate e-invoice or not. Using that, you can decide whether you are eligible or not. And as you know already 20 crore, if you have passed, you can start straight away and enable yourself and start doing it. Next slide. So this is the portal where you can go there. Just enter your GSTN ID, system shows you are enabled for the e-invoice from so and so date. You have to generate the e-invoice, it is saying. Next slide. My turnover is more than 20 crore, but my status shows that I am not eligible for e-invoice. How can I enable? As I told you already, there is an option available. If system is wrongly telling that you are not about 20 crore, you have an option. You can go there, enable yourself for the e-invoice and start generating the e-invoice. Next slide. So this is the portion available there where you can go there and enter your GSTN ID. System will tell PAN India level for the same PAN. What are the GSTNs are there? All the details it will say from all the states. Then it will ask you to enter which year you have crossed 20 crore. Then the amount you have to enter. Then submit. You are automatically enabled there. Next slide. Which turnover is considered for eligibility of the taxpayer for registering the invoices? Again, I am repeating here, people are having a misconception about the turnover. If the turnover has crossed minimum threshold, that is 20 crore, then you have to generate the invoice. As of now, for last 4 years, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 20, 21, 22. In any of these 5 years, if you have crossed 20 crore, you have to generate the e-invoice. And the turnover is considered the PAN based, not the taxpayer GSTN based. It is a PAN all over India based turnover is considered. And it includes exempted nil turnover also, and taxable and export invoice turnovers also. Next slide. My turnover is less than the threshold. I am not more, my turnover is less than 20 crore, but system says that you are already enabled, you have to generate the invoice, it says. If in any of the last 5 years, your turnover is less than 20 crore for the all over India PAN based, then you can raise your complaint with the help desk saying that I am not eligible for the e-invoice portal. Please remove my number from the e-invoice portal for the registration purpose, or enable may be disabled. So you can go to the help desk and complain yourself. Next slide, please. Is invoicing voluntary? No. It is 20 crore above, it has been made compulsory for all the taxpayers who have crossed 20 crore. Below that, it has not been enabled still. It is not being made voluntary also. Next slide. What about the petrol pump having turnover more than 20 crore, which include some GST supplies also? So here again we are saying whether the second question on the similar line, whether the taxpayer need to generate e-invoice if he has a 90% of non-GST supplies with B2B and B2C, 10 per GST supply. What we are saying is yes, all the turnovers are included for identifying the eligibility of invoice. The best example is the petrol. So petrol pump, he may be having a 20 crore turnover, but wherever the GST supplies are there, for that he has to generate the e-invoice. If he is doing for B2B and B2G and export, otherwise e-invoice is not required. Next slide. Who all and which type of transaction need not generate IRN? This is again important point. Government through the notification say that some of the taxpayer need not have to generate the e-invoice. They have specified a particular sectors or service sectors which need not have to generate the e-invoice even if they are doing B2B transaction. Which are those? One is a banking or insurance companies or financial institute need not have to generate the banking related invoices. Goods transport agency, passenger transportation agency, multiplex cinemas, government department, SEZ unit, ISD unit, composition taxpayers. All these people need not have to generate the e-invoice. Again, if you are dealing with B2C transaction need not have to be generated the e-invoice, only B2B and export. Some people may be doing both. I am doing B2B also and B2C also. B2C, you need not have to generate. B2B, you have to generate. Even if you are having a 10 B2B transaction in a month, for those 10 you have to generate. Other 1000 B2C you are doing, we are not asking for B2C. You are only asking B2B 10 invoices to be generated on the portal. Next slide. If supply value is less than 50,000, since does not require e-way bill, should still register such an invoice? Yes. If even though supply value is less than 50,000, if the invoice is B2B type or B2G type or export type, then invoice has to be generated. E-invoice is required for that. B2C, it is not required. B2B, irrespective of the value. But turnover is important. If the turnover is crossed 20 crore, even if you are supplying 1 rupee value of the goods to B2B, then e-invoice is required. Next slide. If the recipient rejects the service and goods, whether IRN to be generated, if it is within 24 hours, you can cancel the IRN. Let us say I have supplied some goods to my client who is there in some other place. After receiving the goods, within 24 hours, he rejects the goods. Then within 24 hours, I can cancel the IRN. The option is available on the portal. In case of the rejection of the service and goods, as a practice before e-invoicing, amount should be adjusted through. Otherwise, after 24 hours, you can issue the credit note or debit note and adjust that amount. After 24 hours, you are not having a facility to cancel the e-invoice. Within 24 hours, you can cancel. After 24 hours, if it has been rejected, as you are doing the practice, already you are having a practice of issuing the debit note or credit note. On that basis, you can adjust that amount. In case the goods are returned, e-way bill can be generated through the delivery channel. From that place to back, your place, that goods has to come back. That time you can generate the e-way bill on a delivery channel, not on the invoice. You get back the goods and continue with your other activity. Next slide. What are the types of documents that can be registered for the generation of IRN? Currently, only invoice, credit note, debit notes are enabled for the e-invoice generation. Invoices, credit note, debit note. That invoice is also a regular invoice, not the ISD invoice. So it is a regular invoice, tax invoice are enabled. Next slide. Can I integrate my system with the API with the e-invoice system? Yes. If you are above 500 crore, directly you can request through the email. Will enable you for the direct integration of your ERP system with our e-invoice system. That is possible. Or if you are having already GSP or ERP, through them also you can connect to the API. That mechanism is there. So otherwise, if your big taxpayer, whoever with whom you are working, if he has been enabled, if he allows you, you can come through him also. All the three modes are there. API, you can work out on them. Next slide. What are the modes of invoice registration for the taxpayers with a turnover less than 50 crore? When I am below 50 crore, what are the modes are there? So you can come through the API mode, through the GSP or ERP, or you can use the offline bulk generation tool, which is available on the portal. You can download and you can prepare like most of the people are doing for e-way bill. The same thing can be done for e-invoice also. And already my colleague, madam, has explained you about the Japawn tool. You can use the Japawn tool, mobile app or Japawn tool, and you can do also. You can download mobile app and generate also. All the modes are there. Next slide. Is there a facility to enter one invoice detail at a time to register? Yes, there is a mobile app is there and Japawn tool is there, using which one by one already we have demonstrated. Using that, you can do the e-invoice generation one by one. Next slide. Can we use the same credential to access e-invoice and E-way bill in production environment? Yes. If you are generating already E-way bill, the same username password, you can use it and generate the e-invoice also. That is possible. If you are not registered for E-way bill, you can go and register for e-invoice separately and create your own username and password and start generating e-invoice. Next slide. I have registered at GST portal. Do I have to register separately for E-way bill and e-invoice? Yes. GST common portal is a separate system and E-way bill e-invoice is a separate place it is there. So separately you have to register for E-way bill and e-invoice on the separate place. So your login will be different here. Next slide. Can I amend the details of the reported invoice for which IRN is already generated? This is a very important. I have already generated the e-invoice. Can I amend it? No, amendment is not possible once you generate the invoice. Only mechanism is you have to cancel your invoice, manual invoice, or whatever your ERP system is there, and e-invoice, prepare a new invoice. If it is within 24 hours. After 24 hours, this will go into the GSTR1. GSTR1 common portal provide a facility for you to amend the already generated e-invoice. There is a facility available on the common portal for you to adjust the e-invoice. But in the e-invoice portal, there is no mechanism to amend it. Please note that this is very important. Within 24 hours, you can cancel the e-invoice which you have generated. Or after 24 hours, you can go and amend in the common portal with the GSTR1 details. Next slide. Can we have a multiple user creation and administration option for a multiple staff? Yes. If you are having a multiple business places in the one state only using the same GSTN ID, so each multiple location, you can provide a separate username and password. They can use and generate the e-invoice on the portal. Next slide. In case of export, we prepare invoice in dollars. How do I prepare invoice, whether the dollar or rupee? All the invoice has to be prepared in the rupees only. And dollar also you can give the value through the API. There is a mechanism to give the dollar value. But you have to give in the rupee only all the invoices. And there are bulk count tools are there, API tools are there. In that you can pass the dollar detail and update also. Next slide. What about export invoice? GSTN will not be there. Yes, in case of export, the other party will not have a GSTN. When the GSTN is not there, you have to enter the URP, unregistered taxpayer. URP is the, and country code will be there. You enter, sorry, state code you have to enter as a 99. PIN code as a 99999 in case of export. Next slide. When invoice details need to be uploaded for export invoice, if port details to be changed, how to amend? As I told you, amendment option is not available once you IRN you generate. You have to cancel it and generate once again. Otherwise, you have to update on the common portal. There is no option to updating the content on the invoice. However, if the dispatch from and ship to details are not provided while generating IRN, the same can be provided in an E-way bill and generated. E-way bill has a provision to enter this and generate that. Next slide. How to show packaging charges which is not qualified but taxable in nature. Such a charges and others like freight and insurances can be added as a line item. Previously in a VAT system, you used to give the total value, but now insurance also are there. Insurance is also taxable. So now that has to be considered as one line item. You enter as a line item, packaging charges, number of unit you can value you can mention, whatever the tax is available on that, you can add the tax, GST tax and show them. Insurance also on the same line. So they will come as a line item, not as a general item as you used to prepare in the VAT system. In GST, they are all line items. Okay, next. For continuous supply, whether the quantity of supply is not fixed, is based on the site measurement and approval. Can the material be dispatched or on delivery challenge basis? And invoice and e-invoice can be generated and quantity measured and site approval by the client later. Liquid item, where the actual quantity cannot be measured until it is delivered. Now goods delivered excess or less quantity can be issued a credit note and debit note. So invoice, how you are handling. The same practice what you are following in the manual system will continue. If in the manual system you are giving as a lump sum invoice value and continuing that continuous supply, I may say that it is worth of 100 tons. So you are supplying in a different batches of the vehicle. Finally, when the whole thing is there, it may come to around 95 tons. So then you are adjusting the balance to the credit note or debit note. The same way you can do here also. We are not changing the business practices. You continue doing your business practice as you are doing as per the rule. Only thing is that in addition to the manual, we are asking that you register on the common portal. That's all we are saying. Next. For line sales, how to issue e-invoice on road. So basically people will take the goods on the line sale and go on selling to the shops and come back. So that is the through delivery challenge, they will take the goods out from their shop. For that, e-invoice is not required. Manual invoice you can issue on the spot to the taxpayer wherever the business communities are there and come back to the office and generate the e-invoice. So whenever on the road you are there, you are not able to generate e-invoice on the spot. Manual invoice issue can be given. After coming back, you can generate the e-invoice. And whatever the generated QR code is there, afterwards you can supply back to your buyer. Next slide. If I have committed the mistake in invoice, I generated IRN for it. Can I cancel the IRN and regenerate the IRN once again? As I told you, within 24 hours, you can cancel it and generate once again. After 24 hours, you have to do it in a common portal only. And secondly, document number cannot be reused. Let us say I have generated with 101 as a document number, my invoice number in the manual system and the computer system also. I'll cancel the computer system invoice. When I cancel that, the manual invoice also has to be cancelled. Means it should be recorded as it has been cancelled. Then you prepare 1 or 2 as a new invoice and send it across. So the same number cannot be used for the next invoice generation. Next slide. What are the time limits for cancelling the invoice? How long the invoice are available at IRP for the download? So 24 hours is the time limit to cancel the invoice, and you can download the e-invoice from the common portal within 48 hours. 2 days are available for the downloading the invoice from the common portal. Next slide. Can the taxpayer generate IRN after e-way bill generation? Ideally, first you have to generate e-invoice, then you have to generate e-way bill. However, on the same line, if IRN has been cancelled, first e-way bill has to be cancelled, then IRN has to be cancelled. Even though system allows you to generate e-way bill without the IRN, But ideally speaking, you should generate e-invoice, then you have to generate IRN. Next slide. If the e-way bill has to be generated for the invoice, but the transportation are not available at the time of e-invoice generation, then how to generate e-way bill? As I already explained, if the transport, you are going to transport the goods tomorrow, or you don't have currently the goods are supposed to move, vehicle number is not there. You generate e-invoice only. After that, you enter the e-invoice number and the vehicle number and generate the e-way bill as a second step. That is possible. Next slide. When the IRN is cancelled, whether the associated e-way bill also gets cancelled automatically? No. When you IRN, you go to cancel. If e-way bill is there, it says that you cancel e-way bill and come back to the IRN cancellation. So both has to be cancelled separately. Now we are making a mechanism to together only you can cancel both. When you are going for IRN cancellation, system says that e-way bill is there. Do you want to cancel? If you say yes, both will be cancelled. Next. Do I need to print the QR code on the invoice? If so, what shall be the size and the location of the QR code? While returning IRN, IRP also give the IRN number, acknowledgement number, date, whether these also need to be printed on with the issuing invoice. So as per the rule, QR code only has to be printed on your invoice, commercial invoice, which you are issuing to the party. So QR code can be printed anywhere on the invoice. It is not having a fixed location. Size can be anything, but it should be readable from the mobile, smart mobile. That is a basic condition. And you only have to put the QR code, because when you generate the e-invoice, system gives you the IRN number, acknowledgement number, date, so many other information. You can ignore them, but QR code is a must on the commercial invoice. Next slide. Can e-commerce entities generate e-invoice on behalf of seller on their platform? Yes, we have enabled the e-commerce operator to generate on your behalf the e-invoice. If he is selling the goods on your behalf, he will enter your GSTN as a supplier and generate the e-invoice. That is possible, and it is already provided on the portal. Next slide. Who has to generate the reverse charge mechanism invoices? Currently, whoever is generating, the same thing will continue. RCM related invoices have to be generated by the supplier, not by the recipient. So supplier only will generate as a RCM, and it will be flagged as RCM while sending a recording on the system, so that the system knows that recipient has to pay the tax for that. In case of B2C, RCM invoices or self invoices, then IRN need not have to be generated. If you are purchasing from the consumers, then RCM is not required to be generated. Next slide. What is the time limit for generation of IRN? Currently, even 1 year back, invoices, you can generate the e-invoice. There is no limit, but maybe in the coming few weeks, government will come out with some guidelines saying that once you are preparing invoice today, this invoice has to be registered in the portal maybe in a week's time or a 15 days time or a 1 month time. Some guideline will come. Currently, that limitation is not there. Anytime you can generate and register. Some questions are there. I have seen that I am registering today for the e-invoice generation. Can I generate the e-invoice for April and May? Yes, you can generate now. Best thing is that do that right now. Don't wait for that. This will benefit your buyer also, and tomorrow it will benefit for you also. So whoever has know that they are supposed to generate e-invoice, if they come to know today that they have to generate, for all old dated, you start generating invoices. There is no harm in now. You can do now, right now also, no problem. Next slide. Do I need to print the invoice as provided on the portal, or can I have my own format? Ideally speaking, you should have your own invoice format. You need not have to depend on the e-invoice provided by the e-invoice portal. But if you are not able to print the QR code on your invoice, you take the printout from the e-invoice portal, enclose with your commercial invoice this as the QR code, and give it to the buyer. So buyer can verify that it has been updated, and your commercial invoice also will run. So you may be issuing a manual invoice. And the manual invoice, you cannot prepare the QR code there. You continue the manual invoice, upload on the details into the common portal, generate the invoice from the common portal, which will have the QR code. That you enclose it your manual invoice and give to the buyer. So that way both the activities will be taken care. Next slide. In the current schema, there is no provision to report details of supplier not covered under GST. That is, hotel wants to give a single invoice for B2B supply, where supply includes foods and beverages. Alcohol also are included. Currently, only GST levied invoices has to be uploaded on the portal. We are not alcoholic. You may have a different series of the invoices for the different purposes outside GST. That you can continue, but only GST related invoices has to be uploaded on the portal. Next slide. TDS of income tax is not part of invoice scheme. Yes, it is not, but we have clarified that it can be entered in other charges. Whenever your TDS deduction is being done, it will be entered in other charges and send it to the e-invoice portal. Next. What is the maximum number of line items? We have provided a maximum line item when the invoice is 1,000. I think they will not be crossing 1,000. In case somebody is crossing 1,000, they have to raise the request for the support from NIC E-way bill team. We'll provide a different mechanism for that. Next slide. In case of credit note and debit note, is there any validation with respect to referred invoice number? So credit note, debit notes are issued with the original old invoice numbers, right? So we are not validating with the old invoice number. Whatever number you give, it will take and continue there. Next slide. How are the interstate or intrastate transactions are identified? You are giving a place of supply in the invoice. Based on that, system will identify whether it is an intrastate or interstate. Next slide. Okay, this covers the basic questions on which we wanted to cover and explain. Now we'll take up whatever the questions have come on the portal. Over to Murali Krishna.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the neatly explaining once again what is the invoicing or the technical issues on the FAQs. And most of the questions have been answered in that particular FAQ itself. However, we'll take it up. Some of the questions have been posted in the chat, and if any repeat or any clarity is required, we'll the panel of experts, Bhatt sir and Nagendra Kumar sir, myself and other officers who are involved in the invoicing, certainly they will clarify that. Okay, and I request the technical team to present the questions on the page.
Yes, sir.
And I request all the taxpayers and the consultants to mute their, take out their video so that the clarity will be better. Yeah, see, the first question they asked in webinar on e-invoicing, a taxpayer failed to enable e-invoice for the 21-22 in which he is liable for e-invoice. Can he now enable and generate e-invoice for the financial 21-22? I think, see, already it has been explained earlier. Those who have aggregate turnover more than 20 crore and above in the past financial years, if they are enabled, then only they can generate, not for the present financial year. And if any technical issue is there, they can flag to that GST, the e-invoice portal, and they will enable if it is not enabled.
No, I'll just add to that, Murali Krishna. Yes, what he is saying is already 21-22. He is supposed to generate e-invoice, he is saying, but he has not generated, he is saying. Yes, now you can go and generate for the 21-22 also. First start from the current month onwards, go back one by month and enter for the 21-22 also, you can generate the e-invoices.
Okay, sir. Next, please. Yeah, export invoice generated on 28/4/2022, shipment effected on 11/5/2022, shipping bill received on 15/5/2022. When we generate e-invoice after receiving shipping bill, that is 16/5/2022, it is reflected in the month of April 2022, whereas GST was filed on 11/5/2022, turnover reflected in 3B of April, where, see, basically, actually, e-invoice, I think Nagendra Kumar sir can explain on this. I think there is a disparity between the generation of invoice and filing of his invoice on the GST.
Sir, you are muted.
Yeah, I have unmuted. The question is basically export invoice generated on 28/4/2022, shipment effected on 11/5/2022, shipping bill received on 15/5/22. When we generated the invoice after receiving shipping bill,
That is 16.5.
16/5 was filed, whereas GSTR one was filed on 11/5/2022. Now, your e-invoice, if it is generated on 16th May 2000, how can you include it in the month of GSTR for the month of April for the invoice raised in the month of May? That's not permitted.
Yes,
Sir, he is saying export invoice he has prepared on 28th April. And
was
he's
it,
generating on the portal on 16/5. After 20 days, he's generating on the portal.
Right, but the export invoice generated was included in the GSTR one for the month of April.
Yes, he's saying, whereas GSTR 1 was filed on 11/5.
Correct. So this was not at that time the export invoice when he generated, he did not generate an e-invoice. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, not generated.
Obviously, then I think whatever the manual invoice uploaded on manual invoice generated on 28/4 will get automatically will have to be reflected in the tax period for which the GSTR one is filed. That is for the month of April. Now, what is the issue? Whereas the turnover in GSTR one filed on 11th May is matching with 3B, how to solve this issue? Turnover in 3B of April, whereas turnover in GSTR one filed on 11th May is matching with 3B. How to solve this issue and when to generate invoice? At the time of generating bill or at the time of awaiting shipment at the time. In case if he has generated already a manual invoice consequent to which GSTR one stands filed and that gets auto-populated and thereafterwards it gets into it gets into the 3B liability for that month. What is the challenge here, Mr. Bhatt? Basically, what is the challenge? What is
challenge, sir? Challenge. What is happening is 28th April. He has manual invoice. He has prepared. April.
Right.
So in his April he has prepared. It is going to reflect in the month of April return for R3B and R1.
Absolutely.
And when his shipment he had done in the month of May. Shipment
Right.
he had done. So whether his question is whether he should include in April or it is the month of May, he should consider that invoice is the question which previously also they had asked.
That will depend upon what is the time of supply provisions applicable to him. When is the actual, supply happen? You see, here is an export invoice generated on 28/4. Was it a point in which the requirement of generating an invoice in terms of section 31 was fulfilled as per the time of supply provisions? If that is so, then it ought to be reflected in the GSTR for the month of April, which is filed in the month of May. If he is generating a e-invoice on May, for which export invoice has been made in the month of April, then I need to look at what exactly the time of supply provisions applicable here. Is he a merchant exporter, manufactured exporter? That would depend upon that.
We can get back to them, sir, after.
Yes.
Next question, please. Labor supply service applicable for the e-invoice system. Yeah, any service and goods which are aggregate turnover, it is more than 20 crore turnover in the previous financial year, even they have to do that. Next one. We are uploading e-invoice. Do we have to upload E-way bill also? See, wherever the E-way bill requirement is there, the turnover, if the transactions value is more than 50,000 rupees in that particular, and for that E-way bill is very much is required. We are uploading e-invoice. Yes. Next one. So for May month in Excel download, we are getting our all bills, but in B2B table, lots of invoices are missing. That's not available. Kindly advise what is to be done. Excel download, we are getting all our bills, but in B2B table, lots of means to say in GSTR one auto population is happening. That's what
Yes,
is question.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is saying some invoices are missing. We will write that GSTN common portal and discuss with them and update you on that.
And the invoice raised on 1/6/2022, but the E-way bill and actual movement of goods only in 2/6/20. Yeah, it is possible. It is not a problem at all. See, E-way bill is required only for when the movement of goods takes place. As you already aware, as a E-way bill part A, that part A itself is valid for 15 days, and the E-way bill can be generated within that particular period of time. A taxpayer failed to enable e-invoice with the 21. This already has been answered. This already has been answered. Next, e-invoicing being a new requirement for business with turnover more than 20 crore on 422. There are few teething issues and may not be aware of about e-invoicing. In this backdrop, request from trade is to condone delays in raising e-invoicing for first 3 months and ratify the transaction for a claim of ITC or recipient based on regular invoice. No general specific. I think this is of a more of a clarificatory nature question they're asking. I think the policy has to take a decision on that. As of now, there is no such policy decisions. I request Naganukumar sir to throw light on this.
Yeah, I think the ask is to waive the penalty. If I can read the question together, I think probably what they're looking at waiver of
Yes,
the
sir.
penalty. Now, as of now, there is no such proposal. We have been receiving representation from various trade associations and also from the industry representations. But as of now, I think no decision has been taken. But I would only request that the moment it is getting notified for liable to raise the invoice, we notified, if I remember correct, on 22nd February 2022 or 24th February 2022. Now we are into now 5th month since we had notified this applicability of invoicing to this bracket of turnover people, taxpayers. But my advice would be that they must now comply with. For the past period, if there are any issues, they must take it up in the grievance redressal committee. We have been always advising internally to all our officers to take a lenient view in the early part of the implementation of the invoice so far as this bracket of taxpayers are concerned. But no decision yet. This will require, all of you are aware, if there is any waiver of penalty, it ought to be approved by the GST Council. As of now, there is no such proposal. Thank you.
Yes, Murali.
The
Yeah, first
e-invoice and E-way bill raised on 1622. Material movement next day is possible. This has been answered already, and only E-way bill is required when the movement of goods is required. Next, whether NBFCs are required to generate e-invoices. See, NBFCs, non-banking financial corporations, and as per the government notifications, these financial and banking institutions are not required to generate e-invoices for information. Next question, please. Our annual aggregate turnover has not crossed the limit of 20 crores in any year. While verifying turnover details in 2021 at GST portal, we found that it is showing aggregate turnover 28 crores instead of 15 crores. We updated the same aggregate turnover declaration by taxpayer column. That's fine. I think that will be taken care of by the portal. Could be some technical error. That could be. Next is wrongly e-invoice is cancelled before cancellation of E-way bill. How to resolve? See, once the E-way bill cancellation. Once again, wrongly e-invoice is cancelled before cancellation of E-way bill. How to resolve? I think you have to generate another e-invoice, register another invoice in that particular case. Next, some of the e-invoice is not reflected in GST portal. By downloading the e-invoice portal to GST portal, it is, if it is more than 500 invoice, it is very difficult to update the missed invoices. I think in such cases, you have to raise a ticket onto the e-invoice, the GST portal. I think they will resolve such issues. Next, please.
Mr. Bhatt, I just want to know, is it a similar pattern asked by other taxpayers where there is in crossing 500 plus invoices? Are they finding it difficult in downloading it?
No, sir. They are saying in the common portal. The question here is in the common portal. Once the GSTR 1 comes, they are facing some problem there.
I would request the queries to also raise a ticket to the GST, and we also would examine that at our end. Thank you.
Yes.
We are unable to upload the commission bills having a HSN code 996111. I think you have to raise a ticket on this to find out what is the reason. Okay. Next, please. Whether e-invoice is applicable to real estate and advance received. So it is possible to generate e-invoice to B2C. The first one is, see, the advance is received, or see, once again, it's on place of supply and the amount. I think the invoicing is applicable on real estate and advance is received. Okay, if they fall in the ambit of 20 crore and above for the previous turnover. Is it possible to generate e-invoice to B2C sale? So for B2C transactions, e-invoice is not required. Authorized invoice in case of intermediate respect of foreign customs. Currently, it is treated as B2C and subject to GST. For any B2C transactions, if it is an export invoices, in such cases, it has to be generated e-invoice. But truly, if it is a B2C transactions within the state, within the country, there is no requirement of e-invoicing. If there is a sales return against e-invoice, how to proceed? Offline or through a e-invoice portal only. See, even a sales return for that, see, as you are aware, the credit note, debit note pertain to the e-invoice has to be uploaded by the supplier only, not by the recipients. And HSN code is issued by CBSE or not yet updated in GST. I think they will take up that matter.
No, please write the ticket with your HSN code with a common portal, help desk. We'll validate that, and if already government has notified, we'll get it updated. Please write that issue, whichever the HSN code is not available in the portal, so it will be verified and updated.
Yes, sir.
Probably they are referring to those HS codes which we updated in the finance
Yes,
Act
sir.
2022.
Yes,
I think they've all been uploaded in the ICE gate. Correspondingly, I think there will be also validation would have happened in the e-waybill as well as with regard to GSTN. But there are any issues, please raise a ticket. We will look into that. Thank you.
How much turnover for e-invoice for works contract? See, that's a general question. More than 20 crore and above, any previous aggregate turnover, they have to generate e-invoices for B2B transactions, credit note, debit notes, and export invoices. Whether difference in value in e-invoice can be manually updated directly on a portal or should issue credit notes and again generate a new invoice. I think for that debit, yes, sir. But sir.
Yes, for whatever differential is there, manually, whatever you prepare also, you should enter the credit note and generate the e-invoice for that. Then only it will be get recorded accordingly and get adjusted in your GSTR1.
Yes, sir. E-invoice is necessary for export to like Nepal. Yes, it is required for e-invoice for export to Nepal. Next, we have started invoicing from 1st January 22. What to do with the invoice raised in April to May 22? Should I enter the invoice also to e-invoice? What will be impact of GST1 in April 22? Due to this, we have not filed April return yet.
So please continue uploading the April and May 22 invoices also. There is no harm in that. When it comes to GSTR1, GSTR1 has a facility for you to delete the old invoices which are not applicable for that month. There is a provision. There is no any hard and fast rule that you can, whatever has been provided in GSTR1, you have to accept. There is a provision to delete and amend kind of a things also notified by the government. Nothing harm in that. Better to generate for April and May 22 for e-invoices also.
Yeah, just to add a note, actually already Bhatt sir also said and DPN sir also said, it's better to generate e-invoices in a real-time basis rather than waiting for to generate in the later time. And there could be a timeline and the validation may come in place. And I request all the taxpayer consultants to generate the invoices. For those taxpayers, it has been mandated. That's what I wanted to say. Next, please.
I think dwelling on that point, I think Mr. Bhatt has already clarified. I think the invoices for the past period can be generated in the portal. You'll be complying with the provisions of Rule 48 and avoid the penalty under 48(4). I would encourage the taxpayers, even those who have not generated for the past period, enablement has been from 1st April, those who are liable. It is advisable for them to generate the e-invoice in the portal.
Yes, sir, because some of the public sector and the MNCs, they're not accepting the invoices generated later period of time, sir. I think some clarity is required from the policy wing on that particular matter, sir, because they're holding up the payments for the many SMEs and MSMEs because they have not raised the invoices in the portals. Yeah.
We will
Next,
look into
is this applicable to without sequence upload e-invoice? Yeah. So supplementary to individual is invoicing is not mandatory. See, if it is B2C, it is not mandatory. We have merchant exports, we are uploading the invoice at the end of the month with shipping bill details, but once again, that clarity has been already been given. Better actually, you has to have the invoices along with the itself instead of generating the invoices later part of time or concerning to the shipping bill or getting to the money payment and all that. better as the usual practice is what actually invoice has been generated. In that way, e-invoice has to also be generated. Some e-invoices are not auto-populated in GST1 portal May 22. Error show in auto-population return file after 5 days. Waiting period is also. I think in such technical issues, one has to raise a ticket and to get it resolved from the system. A TP wishes to change its registered phone number to the OTP while generating e-invoice. How can he add a separate phone number? I think the concerned state, the tax officials, the help desk people who can change for changing their credentials onto the system.
No, 1 minute.
Sir.
TP wishes to change his registered phone number to the OTP while generating e-invoices. How can he add a separate phone number? No, one thing is that the TP, whatever he has registered, he's registering his complete GSTN details on the common portal. Mobile number also has to be changed in the common portal. Email,
Exactly.
mobile number, trade name, everything has to do in the common portal. Once you do in a common portal, we'll pull the data and put it in the e-invoice portal. So if those changes you are expecting to be done on the e-invoice portal, it is not possible. It has to be done on the common portal.
That's all. Any amendment has to be done on the common portal itself.
Yeah. Secondly, if you want to create additional accounts, then it is a possible there. You can create a sub account can be created for your manager or supervisor on the e-invoice portal for them to generate e-invoice. There is a provision. You can multiple user you can create going into our portal only.
The next question, see, as already explained, if it is a B2B transaction, even for a 1 rupee, if you have a turnover more than 20 crore and above for the previous financial years, and exempted supplies are there, and B2C transactions are there, for a B2B transactions, one has to raise the e-invoices. If the dealer is liable to e-invoicing and not issuing is, then what are the legal actions can be taken against them? See, already as sir said, e-invoicing is a replacement of a manual invoice, what actually you are generated. Whatever the penal provisions applicable for non-issue of e-invoices, invoices manual, like e-invoice also, it is applicable for that also. What are the consequences if you are purchasing inputs from party who is liable to generate e-invoice but have not generated e-invoice? That's what I said. See, as per the law, the e-invoice has been replacing as per 45(5) rule to the manual invoice or the computer-generated invoices. Whatever the penal provisions applicable for non-issuance of invoices, the same provisions will apply here. Next, please. We are raised e-invoice on Friday, Saturday. With some other issue, we are not downloaded JSON file. Sunday is already Monday trying to download JSON file. It's showing error. How can resolve the JSON download file after 2 days? See, in such technical issues, I think better to generate any invoices on the particular day of downloading that particular JSON file freshly, removing the cache and preparing the system for any generation of invoices. Anything to add, Mr. Butson?
No.
Yeah. After generation of e-invoice not getting different GST, how will match GST with e-invoice value? After generation
that will be streamlined. There may be some technical issues. Those things will be streamlined. Ultimately, it will be synced with the GSTR 1, 2, 3, all the things. Maybe in the initial some hitches are there that will be taken care and it will be accordingly. It will be adjusted. Okay, don't worry about that. Currently, we are not very seriously looking at the GSTR 1 should match with the e-invoice kind of a thing. Government is not pushing for that, but gradually it will be taken care. So now we are only educating and trying to bring that kind of a thing. Whatever issues are there, we are trying to adjust there.
See, what if the buyer does not have a GST? Can we still issue e-invoice? See, once again, only for a B2B transaction, business to business, taxpayers only, you can raise the e-invoices. If he doesn't have, it will become a B2C. You can't generate e-invoice for that particular cases. Next, a person GST registered entity opts for e-invoicing by mistake when his turnover less than 20 crore per annum, not raise the e-invoice. The recipient has received the supply of goods or final invoice, not invoice, paid the money to the supplier, but could not make over the supplier has paid the tax return government. The invoice is uploaded on the GST visible to me whether the recipient can have ITC on that supply. Please note, as already explained, those who have a turnover more than 20 crore and above only are enabled to issue e-invoices, not less than 20 crore below. That has to be checked onto the portal and such people have to raise the e-invoices. That has to be noted down. Next. I had a query regarding invoicing on account of intermediate class. Will this to be considered as B2C or export payment? See, that's what I explained already. If it is a B2C transaction within Pan India, there's no need to have a generation of e-invoices. For an export category, if it is intermediate services, it is applicable. If it is an export services, at that time, has to be generated, e-invoice has to be generated. We are raising invoice to our parent company Singapore. We need to generate e-invoices. Certainly, you have to generate e-invoices. We have generated successfully when downloaded invoice history from portal for cross verification. Some of the invoices issued on 35 came with remarks read so as auto population is paid. Those invoices are not accounted in B2B invoice still. While this omission has occurred, how to include auto population file invoice into GST1? As already the technical team have clarified, any issues we can raise under the GST or the invoice portal, or any editable option is there on the GST1 portal, and editable is that the data can be uploaded on the GST1. If e-invoice is not generated yet, can we generate it from June prospectively? That's what I said already has been clarified. If it is not generated for the previous months or anything, you can generate for the previous invoices also. Yeah. In the month of May 2022, we have generated 16 e-invoices, but in GST1, there are 15 e-invoices. Can we add that missing invoice manually to GST1 B2B? Yeah, certainly, as of now, that can be added. But as Sir said, the technical issues will be streamlined over a period of time, and the validation also may come in place. I request all the taxpayers and the consultants to look into that and to generate e-invoices in a real-time basis. How to cancel e-invoices after 2 days of generation? See, as already explained, within 24 hours, within 24 hours, e-invoice has to be cancelled on the portal. If it has to be after 2 days of generation, it has to be manually has to be cancelled only, and you have to fresh iron has to be registered on the iron portal with a different invoice. Kindly give guideline pertaining to exporters of invoice with payment of tax, wherein the details of shipping must get auto refund, but these details are not getting auto populated. This quite already has been explained. There's no need to explain once again on that.
No,
For
we'll
the
give the
company-
complete, no, we'll give the some FAQ on this very clearly explaining how they have to take care after a couple of days.
Yes,
It
sir.
will be there on the portal. People can, all these queries or whatever are there, generic queries, we'll prepare the FAQs on that. With the example, we'll give in the portal. In the same portal, what we are told, you can download that and understand, because we'll give the example, because after internally discussing with the experts, it will come back on.
Yes, sir. For the company concerned about 20 crore capping for GST exempted or nil rated, is it possible to generate e-invoice? If no, then what would say? Once again, repeat for a case of repetition. If your aggregate turnover pan India, if it crosses 20 crore and above for the previous financial years, you are enabled to generate e-invoices only for B2B transactions, credit notes, debit notes, and export invoices. The aggregate turnover comprises exempted, nil rated, export, and also taxable category. Please note. Some of the unit of measurement is missing to the added square, centimeter, carat, and mandates. I think technical team should look into that.
No, we have square, centimeter, maybe there in a different way, carat and other thing. What I request you, you write this with a ticket with the help desk. This particular kind of unit of measurement you are using, it is not available in invoice. We'll just check up that.
Yes, sir.
Equivalent, whatever is there, we'll tell. Otherwise, if it is genuinely required, internally we'll examine and get it added and send back to you.
As of now, the bulk generation tool or anything, the schema is already there, and all these units can be added. As Sir said, any technical issues you can raise onto the portal. A taxpayer is liable for e-invoice from 21-22, but failed to do. But can he enable? See, once again, the same question has been asked by Senthil Kumar. It has been answered already. Next, please. We upload e-invoice. That has also been answered. Any corrections can be done on the GST1 portal, and any further validations will be built in. Tax practitioners since 2.5 decades. It's better to make a e-invoice mandatory irrespective of monetary ceiling limits. This result not only 100% awareness of revenue leakage and See, this is a well taken. I think the policy wing and the GST council is in under active consideration on these issues. As you already seen, from 500 crore to it has come to 20 crore. For a period of time, it may come to that. And meanwhile, as a taxpayer, I request all your taxpayers to see to that if they have more than 20 crore, they come on to the e-invoicing system. Next, in this current month, we are facing the problem of error in auto population. How to correct this error? I think you have to raise an issue onto the portal, and we'll check the with the help desk people. We can correct that. Next, please. Next, please. Next question. Yeah, how to raise the invoice to e-commerce operators? The procedure is same as already explained. What is the time to generate e-invoice? If I create sales invoice in 31/3/21, iron is of the same generate 22/4. Is there any problem in this case? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now it is coming. Yeah. Murli, continue, please.
Please, sir.
Yeah.
How to raise the e-invoice with the e-commerce operator?
Yeah, we have provided already option for the e-commerce operator. Tell them to generate on your behalf. He can generate on your behalf. It will be recorded and it will come and sit in your GSTR1 automatically.
What is the time period to generate e-invoice? If I create sales invoice, which has already been explained, even for the previous the manual invoice, you can create a e-invoice now. But always you remember better to create a e-invoice in a real-time basis. Sir, I'm not able to generate the e-invoice bill for a GST who got GST number in April 2022. I think any technical issues you have to log into the portal, and there should not be a problem actually if there is a GST number for that. Is manual digital signature necessary in e-invoice? See, already as you are already aware, e-invoice compared to the another manual invoice, what is actually you have iron QR code and a digital signature on the e-invoice itself. And there are some of the taxpayers that are insisting on the manual signature also. And there's nothing wrong in if you put a manual signature onto that particular and you can send it. But already if you look at the technically, already e-sign will be there on that particular e-invoice. Next, please.
Just to clarify once again, wherever your parties are required, your manual signature can be continued. Yeah. But we are not expecting that
technically it's not required.
You digitally signed, you need not have to send to e-invoice portal.
Yeah.
Only you can send the basic details to the e-invoice portal.
Yeah. Next, how to enter TCS amount in Japawn e-invoice? No provisions for TCS and delivery charges in invoice. As already sir explained, you can enter the TCS amount in other column in that particular menu itself. Is it possible to create a multiple subuse of a generating e-invoice and how? I think it is possible to create a multiple subuse of generating e-invoices. Sir, please explain how to e-invoice for exports. Already is quite elaborately explained. There's nothing to explain once again. Is it possible to generate e-invoice of April and May 22 in this month? Certainly it can be generated, but please take a note and better to always generate e-invoices in real time, because as the field officers we have come across on the field, those who are not carrying e-invoices, they have been penalized for not carrying the invoice along with the e-way bill. Better, I request and I request all taxpayer consultants to see that e-invoice is generated on a real-time basis whenever they are carrying the goods along with the e-way bill. In the month of April 22, we have the turnover and not generate invoice. Once again, the same thing explained. Can we change the invoice after generating on portal after 24 hours? See, once again, after 24 hours, once the e-invoice has been generated, it can't be cancelled. Anything has been done manually, you can cancel it and you have to generate another IRN for the different invoice number. And how to check whether a particular GST is registered for e-invoice or not? Certainly, it has been enabled on the portal and on the help on the menu, and any taxpayer, the consultant can look into that whether it is generated or not, and with the acknowledgement and IR number that will get displayed on that. Sir, we are 100%. Once again, previous question, please. Yeah, we are 100% export oriented turnover more than 20 crore. We are applicable for invoicing. Exactly. Yes, sir. You are applicable to e-invoicing. Next, please. E-way bill, E-way to be generated for all invoices, it must. Now we are taking e-way bill for local sales above 1 lakh and interstate sales above. Say the rules are very clear. If the transaction is more than 50,000 value, the e-way bill is very much mandatory. Other than for interstate transactions, and only in certain states like Rajasthan, some other Tamil Nadu, I think, if I can recollect, they have done the value more than 1 lakh and 2 lakhs only for the interstate. For intrastate transaction, if it is more than 50,000 value or a job worker, you have to generate e-way bill. Sir, there are questions, several questions are there. I think we are coming to a short of time, another 5 minutes.
These three, four
Sir.
questions you can take and close, and other things we can reply through the FAQs.
Yeah, that's what, because another 5 minutes we have a timeline. And I think I request we can stop our question and answer sessions now. We can take up all the question and answer sessions. We can collate them and we can answer to them individually and to their email IDs wherever it is possible. And the NISA team and other technical team can compile these questions and we can come out with another FAQ similar to already what FAQs what we have, and we can put it on the e-invoice portal. And many of the tax practitioners are requesting for a FAQ to be shared and the presentation should be shared. And in this connection, I would like to say it is already there in the e-invoice portal. Any taxpayer consultant can download, they can make use of it. There are videos, there are question answers, there are menus, there are leaflets, there are flyers. Enough materials are there on the portal, and also exclusive YouTube portal also has been done by the e-invoice team. And the taxpayers and consultants can log on to that and they can look into this particular YouTube. Already there are 4 or 5 sessions have been conducted on this. Sessions are there on the YouTube. With this, I would like to conclude. Before that, I request DP Nagendra Kumar sir to and DP Nagendra Kumar sir and Bhatt sir and all technical team to make it make this particular possible, this particular webinar to come, and wherein more than 1,000 are in the webinar. And more than 800 people on the YouTube and live streaming has been done. And such a humongous support has come from the taxpayer and the consultant committee and the payers. Really, we should place it on record for all the associations, practitioners, consultants, stakeholders, chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretaries, advocates, each and everybody. With all your support, all these things would have happened. Now I request Mr. Nagendra Kumar sir to say a few words before closing the session. Over to Nagendra Kumar sir.
No, sir is not there. I think he's having some problem in the connectivity.
Okay, I'll ask Bhatt sir to conclude the session.
Yeah, thank you, Murli. I again thank all the people for joining this session and making use of it. We again tell that people are having a misconception. One thing what we have observed is people are thinking, I have not crossed 20 crores. Individual taxpayer, individual shop is there, my turnover is only 5 crores, 6 crore, I have not crossed. Please come out from that conception. Actually, it is a pan-India level. If you have crossed 20 crores, you have to start generating invoices. So this is one thing which we have to understand. And even if you are having 1% of B2B transaction, or even 1 rupee of B2B transaction, e-invoice has to be generated. And also, thirdly, what we have observed that people are B2B, e-way bill, they are generating B2B. B2 export e-way bill they are generating, but they are not generating e-invoice. This will lead into a lot of complication later because system knows, government knows who are generating e-way bills without generating e-invoices. Tomorrow that may be again lead into some other confusion. So to avoid that, please start generating the e-invoices. Nevertheless, even if it is late, doesn't matter. We are not doing any kind of this one now. You can go back to the old invoices also, start generating it. If you are having a ERP, automatically you can start generating for old month and take care. I noticed that people are having some problem in the GSTR1. The data is not auto-populate, they are saying. We'll look into that. We'll try to get it resolved in a couple of days so that the GSTR1 also comes seamlessly and all the people and whole system will get benefited. Again, I'll thank all of you for joining this session. Over to Murli Krishna.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for active participation. Let's see to that as most of the taxpayer concerns are requesting to make it optional. Once it becomes optional, I think we'll be the most happiest people, and many taxpayers want to come on the board and then to generate e-invoices. And days to come, it may happen. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.